we can work on Pyra stuff. There were some things that in neutral I'd like you to see change up a little bit more. You were fishing for down air quite a bit, where you're coming in and trying to get this to get something started, which is obviously, in my opinion, one of her best moves, if not her best move, hands down, because it does so much for her. It either sets up for kill confirms, it's super good for whiff punishing, it sets up for combos, so it's great. It has tons of range. Yeah, it goes off. You can go off stage with it. You can kill. You can two frame. You can do whatever you want, basically. But if you're looking for this too much, then you're gonna get yourself opened up. As far as like if you're jumping in, kind of like how Ike does, because like Ike comes down with Nair late, like this, right? If you're doing that with down air, players that can see what you're trying to pull off, they can just jump at you and catch you in the air as you're rising with your aerial, and now you don't get to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I saw you were punishing me with that, like with Falco.
Yeah, as either getting grabs or forward tilt or up tilts or down tilts, dash attacks, side Bs, just stuff like that. And it makes the other player look a lot better than they actually are when they only have to worry about you doing one thing.
I have a question. So can I do like let's say like falling up air? Can I do that into like jab as well?
Yeah, here's the thing. I was gonna say, here's the beauty of this game is it's so free flowing that a mix up is not subject to necessarily being good or bad. Realistically, in a vacuum, to say if you were going to go for falling up air jab, that's not a bad mix up. Same thing with falling up air spot dodge, falling up air forward tilt, falling up air dash back side B, falling up air rising rar back air. Like you can do basically whatever you want, as long as it is a mix-up, so that your opponent doesn't say, okay, I know as soon as you land, you're going to do the same thing every single time, right? It doesn't really matter what you do, to an extent. Of course, if we're just flailing and just throwing out whatever you want with no real plan, then of course that's bad as well. But if you wanted to do like falling up there into grab, and your opponent is shielding, like let's say if you're in shield, I come down like this and I grab you, because you think I'm going to go for a jab, falling up air grab is a good mix-up, right? But if I go falling up air grab, and as soon as I go for my falling up air, you just dash away from me, and I miss a grab in the air like this, now I'm going to get punished, and now falling up air grab is a bad mix-up, right? Because of what you're doing, not because of what I'm doing, right? As far as the situation. If I'm always landing, if I go like this grab, it works every single time, then why would I not do that, right? But it's good to be aware of different types of mix-ups that you can have, because let's put it this way. Think of your favorite band or favorite musician. I'm sure you have a favorite song, but you don't want to listen to that one song every day, all day, right? It's nice to have variety. You like that one artist, you'd like to listen to that one album all the time, but you don't want to listen to that one song all the time. So the idea of coming in and having one song, and that one song being this into this, it's like, yeah, it's great and it works a lot, but if I only do this, people are gonna figure it out, and it's gonna be too one-dimensional, right? Eventually it gets boring if it's not even working, or it gets frustrating, I should say, not boring. It gets frustrating if this isn't working. So having different mix-ups, going for this into this, or going for this into this, it's just different. It's not necessarily right or wrong with it, unless there's the context of what your opponent is doing around that.
I think like stuff like, because to be honest, like I didn't even think of like this into like falling up air this. I think that's something like I can just like grind in the training room a little bit. Like it's stuff like that. Like I didn't even like think about.
And one of the things too is when you're starting to get to higher levels of play, there is such a thing as visual stimulus that you can give to your opponent that makes them hesitate or makes them act. Let's say I walk up to you and I like spin in a circle and then I grab you, right? Or if I walk up to you and I teabag and then grab you or something. Right? It doesn't necessarily always have to be an actual attack, but even the idea of throwing out a falling up air like this, somebody can see this as visual stimulus and say, when you do this falling up air, I believe that you're going to have landing lag, so I'm going to try and punish this. If I can go like that fast, you can't punish that, right? Or if I go that into shield, whatever I want to do, right? So throwing this out could be a mix-up to say, if you try and grab my falling up air, I can dash out of the way, then come back in with a dash attack. Right? Or jump out of the way and come back in with like a lightning buster or something. Or if we're playing Pyra, we go like this into like a forward tilt. Or like this into dash away F smash. The idea of the mix-up is you can be as creative as you like, as long as you're keeping track of how creative you've been. It sounds kind of convoluted to say that, but if you've practiced 10 different mix-ups, use them, right? Be aware of your mix-ups so that you can actually use them in a game and say, okay, mix-up number 1 didn't work. But thankfully, I have 9 more mix-ups I can try. right? Versus saying, well, I did my one thing and it didn't work, so I guess I'm screwed, right? You don't want to ever
Like
be in that situation.
9 different songs, basically.
Exactly. You have an entire album to play with, bro. If you want to put it like that, that's exactly it, right?
I see.
If you can't impress somebody with one setup or one song, you try another one and another one and another one until it works.
Another one.
Another
I
one.
see.
Exactly. See, he knows.
I even wanted to talk about like other stuff while I'm playing, if you didn't mind.
100%. Yeah, this is your session, bro. If you want to talk and play, we can talk and play. If you want to stand like we have been and talk, then we can also talk as well. I've had coaching sessions in the past where we spent 55 minutes standing. Every single time it goes down to the timer, at the end, we just jump off and kill ourselves and start it over, and we never actually played. Because we were just talking about stuff, and that's totally fine.
So I want to talk to you about like VOD reviews.
Okay.
Because I've been starting to do those, and it's been like really good.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you an example. Go ahead.
I was going to say like VOD reviews of you playing online or like tournaments. Like what kind of VODs are we talking here?
Like actual like real tournaments.
So like bring your phone and set it up behind you, and then as you're playing, just have it being recorded, basically. Yeah. Okay.
So I have a lot of trouble looking at the big picture stuff. Like let's say if I like play an entire game, like if like I get trouble with like a Toon Link or a Zero Suit, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I have like really good like focusing on one singular thing.
Okay.
But like, oh, I didn't swap correctly, and I died off the edge because of it. Like I tried to swap like in the Falco game. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
And I didn't like totally fail, but it didn't work out the way I intended it to. The bigger picture, like, okay, why am I like losing this game in particular? Like, what part of this interaction did I not like do? How do you recommend like going about VODs? Like not really knowing like what the optimal punish is. Like I could do this, but I worked out sort of. And I was just wondering, like, I don't have like a solid question, but like, what would your like if you don't know where to start in a VOD, where would you begin?
When you say optimal punish, are you saying like you hit somebody but it could have been better, or you're saying you're trying to like find someone's habits so that you're not getting reversed, or like you're not leaving things on the table? Because like let's say every time somebody hits your shield with like a tilt, they spot dodge right after, and then you try and grab them and you miss every single time. Like, is it more so about seeing the habit, or more so about saying I'm doing 10% damage when I could be doing 30 or 40, but my selection of combos or my selection of moves is not what it should be?
More so stuff like this, like I jumped out of disadvantage, like after getting hit, and I'm way outside the person's like zone, like they're threatening of. But it kind of worked out because I sort of mixed them up. And I said to myself, okay, well, this isn't like this isn't a multiple choice, it's an open response now. Like, like it worked out in this scenario, but maybe I should do this a little better. Like maybe I should have done this in this case, and it'll put me non-disadvantage as much, but it worked out in this case. It's sort of like a case of overthinking things, I guess. But stuff where like there's VOD review where there's no like literal like, yup, this is the right answer.
So there's two things I guess you could say. There never is a perfect answer, because like you could even take a look at a game like Melee and say they've been playing the game for like what 21, 22 years, and things are still getting figured out and still getting optimized and still getting discovered and changed and whatever else. It's been 21 years at least, right? Roughly. So for yourself to say, okay, so I jumped away from somebody and I drifted mostly right, and I got away from them, but maybe I'm not in the best situation. And when I jumped away, I got to a safe spot, but instead of jumping away as far as I did, I could have punished them while staying safe. So if there's something like that you're trying to figure out, that boils down to knowing your opponent's frame data. I'd say number one. So let's say if I'm swinging on you with Pyra, let's say, and I go for an F smash, and you say, oh shit, like, can you double jump away from me? And that's totally fine. But if you know, let's say you go for a read, and you know I'm going to go for an F smash, if you're in the air already, you could, if you know, let's say you're making a read on my read, you could air dodge to the ground versus just floating to the ground, right? So you jump away from me, and then you air dodge down, and you try and get in there as quickly as you possibly can. And then you're punished in that case if you think I'm going to shields, you dash up and go for a grab. If you think I'm going to throw out a jab, you can run up and go for a forward tilt or like a raw back air. If you are super confident, instead of going for an air dodge away from the F smash, you could try an air dodge behind me. So as soon as you land, you could F smash me. Some of those are going to be super hard reads. And of course, it's situational because on the off chance that you're wrong, maybe I turn around with my F smash and you try and air dodge behind me to cross me up, and then you air dodge right into my F smash and die. Right? So there's also a level of risk versus reward too. So to say that every single situation is created equal, even if it's like the Ditto, or let's say you're fighting my Falco or 100 other players' Falcos, the situation is not always the same because there's some variables that are different. Let's say, for example, it could be last stock, last hit, right? Versus you're getting destroyed, let's say, you can take different risks. Or let's say you're destroying that person. So let's say if you're at, like, let's say 150% or 170%, very high percent on your first stock, and you're probably going to die very soon, right? I can hit you with basically anything and you're going to die. At that percent, at least for me, I make that mental shift to say that I'm going to start playing much more risky because I'm probably going to die anyways very, very soon. So if I can kill you, let's say on your second stock, let's say I'm winning by a lot. I guess it's like to set the stage properly here. Let's say you're at 180% and I'm at my second stock and I'm at like 50 or 60%, right? If you are at 180%, the mindset that you should be having is that if I can cheese this person and just kill them at 60, then it's worth it. If I die, I'm already at 170, so it's not a huge deal, right? So even a situation like that is very, very specific because if the roles are reversed, you obviously shouldn't be going for some risky play when you don't have to if your opponent's at 170 and you're at 60, because you could just die, right?
So you'd want to play safer if you were on like the other end.
Yeah. So that's the thing. That's the thing right there. So it's the situation didn't change. I guess it's a role reversal to say if you're the person that's down a stock and let's say you're at 50 or 60%, you still want to try and get that kill. You don't want your opponent to be living to 180, 190, like 200s and above. But if you start throwing out F smashes when they're at 200, there's really no point. There's no point because you don't need to move that strong to kill them. You could be forward tilting them with Pyra. You could be going for down throw. You could go for jab 3. You could be up tilt. It could be nair. They could die to all kinds of stuff. So that's going to also change up your move selection as well.